jungle out there, disorder and confusion everywhere. No one seems to care. I could be wrong now, but I don't think so, 'cause there's a jungle out there. There's a jungle out there.
The thing about it is, you know, I'm a New York State safety inspector. You know, over 30 years, close to 40 years, and probably longer than this guy's been alive that failed my car. But see, the power steering is not leaking. They said the rack was leaking. They said there was play on the inner tie rod end, which there's not. It's firm. And you can't fail a car for a dust boot under the New York State Safety and Emissions Inspection. So, excuse me, I took the car to another place without saying anything, and it passed the car, no problem. Never mentioned anything. So, just goes to show you. I'm going to show you there's absolutely no play in this wheel. You just grab it on either side of the tire there, back and forth. If there was any play in that inner tire rod, you get a little loose tension in there. Now I can grab this firm enough I could actually move the whole steering rack and the steering wheel in the car. But you can feel the resistance. That's not play. The play would be a little bit of looseness, like a little clunky feel almost. It definitely has no play. So I picked up a pair of these steering rack inner tie rod end dust boots on eBay that fit a number of different Japanese cars. $17 for a pair. I'm just going to use the one because my boot on the other side's fine. I'll change the one. So basically they're trying to sell me a $1,200 steering rack job, and it's just costing me $17. Just had my 2005 Toyota in for New York State inspection. I miss over all the years I've always worked at a shop, you know, where I could get the car inspected there. But now that I'm retired from working at a shop, I don't have access to that anymore. So I'm just like everybody else. I've got to go to some shop somewhere and get my cars inspected, and I hate it. You know, every 12 months, this New York State Safety and Emissions, it seems like it's like all the time you're bringing your cars in for inspection, and you know, these places. So anyways, here's a copy of the estimate they gave me. You know, I brought the car in and I went to my little part-time job. I got a call on the phone, and the guy says, yeah, you got a problem with your rack, with your steering rack. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, so I'll have to pick it up. You know, I do all my own work, you know. So I go in to pick it up, and they didn't charge me for the New York State inspection because they're going to go ahead and they didn't run it all the way through. They were going to, which was nice enough. They were going to, you know, charge me the $21 when I brought it back in after I fixed it. So anyways, the guy showed me pictures of the CV boot on the right hand side, and not the CV boot, the dust boot for the steering rack on the right hand side was deteriorated. Now he insisted that it must have been like a torch, but you know, a torch has never been used on that car. I'm the only one that's ever worked on it, and you know, so anyways, the boot was deteriorated, but he claimed, you know, and the inspector, the service manager, and the guy that inspected the car, they claimed, you know, the steering rack was leaking. It had play on the right inner tie rod end, and so here's the, if you can see here, here's the estimate they gave me for the car, which in itself, if the steering rack really was bad, there's nothing out of the way here. 4.7 hours to change it, $634 for the rack, $58.80 for an alignment. Throw in the tax, and there you've got $1,275.89. So the odd thing was, you know, I know one of the assistant service writers, he knows that I'm an experienced tech and I do all my own work, and so I don't know, here they're trying to sell me this rack. So anyways, you know, I listened to what he said, and I took it home a little skeptical, and so I checked the car, and there's no play in the inner tie rod end. It's not leaking. I've never lost any power steering fluid. You know, there's maybe a little grease and something in that area. It's an old, you know, old car, but there's no leak. There's no drips, so the rack's not leaking. And really, the only thing wrong with it is that boot is deteriorated, and so you can't fail a car in New York State for a deteriorated steering boot. You know, there had to be play in there. So, you know, if it was just some person that came in there, you know, I need my car inspected, and I'm like, hey, well, I need it inspected, so okay, go ahead. $1,275.89. You know. So anyways, I went on eBay and found they come in a pair of the dust boots for the steering rack, $17, free shipping. So had that sent over, and you know, that's it, $17. So, oh, the other part of the story too, you know, after I checked it and there was no play, and I looked at it, I said, okay, I can't take it back there, make a fuss. You know, I don't want to go through all that. So I took it to another place. I figure I'll bring it in for inspection. I won't say anything, you know, that it was failed in another shop or anything like that. I'll just see what happens. So, you know, I dropped it off, and a little while later he calls me up and he says, car's all set, you know, and picked it up, and I had my New York State inspection. So it just goes to show you, you know, I don't know, outright thievery. You know, the guy seemed really convinced in his own mind about these things, but that's what happens. You get these guys, and they get confused, I guess, between the desire and the greed to make this money and make these sales, and then it's almost like they talk themselves into the fact that, you know, you need this work. And because I'm still kind of dumbfounded, because I'm like, okay, if he knows I'm an experienced tech, how in the world is he still going to try to sell me $1,200 worth of work that I don't need? You know, anyways. But it's a jungle out there, you know. You've really got to be careful. So what I recommend is, you know, I feel for people that don't know, they can't check their own stuff. But if you bring your car in, you get an estimate like that or something, you know, take it somewhere else and don't say anything, perhaps, if you can, and get another opinion, you know, or even depending on what your situation, you know, you could let them know, hey, this is what the other shop did, can you please check this? But it doesn't hurt to get another opinion before you go shell out this money.
I could be wrong now, but I don't think so, 'cause there's a jungle out there. There's a jungle out there.